As we go through life, we will meet a variety of people and we will build complicated personal relationships with them. There are various types of relationships, such as friend, work, romantic, and family relationships. It is important to remember that relationships are as individual and different as the people who are part of them. There are different expectations in every relationship. Sometimes these expectations are made clear by talking about them, but other times they're just unspoken rules that develop as people spend time together. In this series, we're going to talk about different aspects of relationships from different points of view with Dr. MAKON FARDIS, SANAZ, Adam, and KIANA. Today's question is, what is the image of your partner? The ideal girl or boy to get married to? Do you even have it figured out? Let's start with SANAZ. SANAZ, what's your ideal, let's just put it that way, who's your ideal Prince Charming?
I don't think I have it figured out, but if I were to just say something right now, I definitely like the gentleman who's going to open the door, who's going to be really nice and polite, know how to conduct himself, and try to make you happy. That's it.
That's as simple as that?
Really it is.
What about you, KIANA? Like, do you, like, I guess everybody had that image since they were a kid, like their ideal husband, wife, or their partner in life. What was that image in your head since you were a kid?
See, I never had that image before. I believe that's what the problem is with society. They have this ideal thing in their mind built up, so they don't go ahead and discover people, you know? I just meet people and try to know them. So I don't really have anything ideal in my mind.
How do you know when, okay, you've been on different dates, how do you know, okay, this person, is it like this guy, is it like this is the one I've been waiting for?
I'm not waiting for anyone.
You're not waiting for anyone?
No, I just, you know, it's about a conversation and it's about your mindset, if you are heading to the same direction with that person or not.
Adam, do you have like a checklist for your ideal spouse? Like you say, okay, I met this girl and she passes all this checklist, so I think she's the one for me.
I don't have a checklist, and I think I've left it open deliberately, but I think personality also matters a lot in terms of the ideal image, because the appearance is, I think, but secondary to the personality, which then really does it for me, that really connects me with that person. So.
But I don't know how it is possible not to. For example, me, I'm married, and when I was dating my wife, I cannot really say a checklist, but I had some idea of what my wife is going to look like. Not in terms of physically, like attitude and how we're getting along. And once the majority of the important stuff was like checked for me, that's how I said, okay, she's it. So for you, SANAZ, like.
Thanks for sharing that. I like that.
You have that checklist or not? I mean, I kind of don't agree with these two, but I'm trying to say if you have that.
I don't know if I have the checklist all the time. I really like the way that you talked about your experience. It was very sweet, and you just knew. I know what I don't like, and then I go with that, you know. I think the most important thing is for someone is going to be my ideal partner is to accept me for who I am, accept me for my imperfections, and just kind of roll with the punches and just want us, you know, share life together and like the same things I do, you know, have a passion for animals, have a passion for good causes, works hard, and just really just accepts me at the end of the day, tries to make me happy. I'm good with that.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
It feels like so much of the conversation that we're having here is assumes that you already have met that person, you like them, and then you're at a point of deciding if this person's character is a match for you or not. I guess what I'm thinking is that if you are in a bar or in a party somewhere, I imagine that you see a lot of people there, and then a lot of them you don't even pay attention to. there might be one or two people that you might sort of unconsciously or consciously tell yourself, I'm going to just walk up to that person and talk to them, or I hope that they will come up this direction and talk to me. And I
Okay,
wonder
yeah.
maybe if you could talk, maybe step back a little bit and talk a little bit about what happens before you learn about the person's character.
That's true. Let's be honest. I mean, checklist if I was at a club, let's say. I mean, the appearance-wise, clean cut, not like long hair in a ponytail, not like a zillion tattoos. I mean, it's just my preference. Well kept, check. Is really nice to me, check.
Height?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go with anyone shorter.
Shorter than what?
Than me.
How tall?
It's just not gonna. I mean, it's gonna.
Why do you think height
if-
matters? Is it because you need
be honest.
somebody who's more dominant? So you're
I
basically
don't want him to
looking
be
for a
like
dominant
super
male.
tall where I have to. No, I don't want to be. I want to look. Let's say if we're having a cake and the two of us are on top of it, we want to look good. We want to look that proportionate.
So what's the height number?
Maybe like half a foot at the tallest.
Half a foot is
Taller than me, yeah.
5'10".
So I'm 5'2", yeah, whatever.
5'10". Okay. And weight?
Not too skinny. I think right medium built, like a nice build.
Skin color?
Not like huge muscles, not those bodybuilders. I'm sorry, that's gross to me. Those ones that
Okay,
like
but
pump
we're not
up
in
their.
on
And
a
I
dating
don't want
app
like a
putting your
super
ideal
skinny
stuff.
that's the
dude.
question. The question is,
Although
what is-
Justin Bieber was kind of cute, and when he was younger,
Sure.
I like
But the
him with
question
it.
is, it's color, does race
Nice
matter?
belt. Yeah, I mean, for me, I shouldn't. I don't know if we want to go there, but
Right.
a little bit more traditional.
So one
I
question
might have some
Sure.
from
judgments.
a female perspective.
Prejudgments.
Like I've heard a lot of people are looking, a lot of girls looking for a guy who's taller than them. What's your perspective? Because is this something that is it something related that you want the guy to be dominant? You want it to be alpha
I don't
male?
want to have
you
to
want it
climb
to
him
be-
for a kiss.
Is
I
it
don't want
something
like.
related to our DNA from the times we were in the cave and it's been like passed through us? Like the woman is looking for a dominant male that goes out hunting, comes back with food that provides for the man. What's your perspective on that?
Well, that's the thing, I think what you're saying is most of people want someone taller than them. Most of the girls want someone taller than them because they want to show off that person.
Is it just show off?
Yeah, it is just
Why is
show
that
off because
how
you
is that
think
a
it's
show
a
off?
better picture. You want to create a picture. You don't want that person for itself. You want to create a pretty picture.
So
in your
where
own
did
head.
that picture come from? Like what makes that perfect? That okay?
Media does it. TV
Media.
does it to you.
Also,
Television
it's what
does it to
feels
you.
good. If I want to have someone stand next to me, I just
Do you think that's shallow?
sure.
Do you think it's shallow?
I
Yes or no?
remember there was this
Do
one.
you think it's shallow? That that guy has to be a certain like height for you to accept it?
Yeah.
Okay. And the image matters that much.
But yeah, like
It
it
does.
says that attraction, like it could be whatever for me. Maybe the lips or the eye color. or
So
something.
now let's get to the perspective of culture. Does culture matter for you? Like another race, another ethnicity, another culture, especially with us that we have an Iranian culture. A lot of times we have this perspective that we're going to be getting married to a Persian guy or a Persian girl. And do you think that matters?
To me, that could be even better if you marry to a different culture because it will lower your expectation. When you marry to someone stranger, a different culture, he's completely different. You don't expect anything in return from him. You already accept him the way he is. But when you marry a Persian guy, or when a Persian guy marries you, like they already start expecting you. Like, the other Persian lady does that. You have to do it too, and that's where, you won't have a happy relationship.
And what about the culture differences? Like she says, oh, in my culture we do this, a guy is supposed to do this, and you're doing that. Do you think that plays out in the relationship? Even though you're saying from the same culture the expectations are this, but don't you think might have the same perspective?
It's really up to the person, It's not only culture. Someone could be really religious. It depends how much effort they want to, how much of their culture they want to bring into, or how much of their religion they want to bring into the religion. To the relationship. So.
Adam?
Does culture matter?
Yes.
I was told that culture does matter when I was younger, and that two people that neighbors don't get along, let alone different cultures, different regions, different parts of the world. The older I'm getting, the more I realize we're all human and that we all have commonalities. And so long as we have that mental complication or level to connect, I think those things no longer matter as much. So for me, I don't have to be the same culture to be with that person.
SANAZ, I know you.
I disagree. I still think to this day, and I haven't dated a wide variety of people from different cultures to say this, but I think definitely being of the Iranian culture, certain traditions that we have, I feel more comfortable with my family having someone around who understands why they do what they do, how they treat me, the things that they say to me, why they're saying them. I mean, or why I'm maybe still taking care of them to this day. I need someone to understand those things and not say, you know, even though I grew up here in the United States, it's hard to make other people understand how it is growing up in a Persian life, because they are my life, you know, my family.
Dr. FARDIS, what's your take on how much culture or ethnicity plays a role in choosing your future spouse?
I feel like maybe the overarching issue, culture, is maybe one of the dimensions. The overarching issue could be whether or not people look for somebody who is similar to them in certain aspects, in a variety of aspects, or opposite or different. Perhaps I guess maybe I could formulate this as a question to our wonderful participants here, which is, in your experience, have you had better success with similarity in whatever dimension, culture or race or ethnicity is one, and then there's other things which is educational level, which is, you know, socioeconomic background and other things that essentially make up the identity of a person. Do you look for somebody who is somewhat similar, comparable to you, or do you look for somebody who is opposite? So maybe I guess, you know, cast a question in even a little more global way.
I can take that question. I can take that question. So you asked about culture, and I say my response to it is, what culture? We are born and raised in the United States of America, which is multicultural, right? We not only have Persian traditions, we have American traditions, and then we have relationships to which expose us to different types of the world. So when it goes down to the sense of what our heritage and our culture is and how much we've retained it and so forth, believe it or not, we cannot to that level of degree. So I think the level that we've connected or tried to maintain it is watered down effects. I would say that I probably have more Spanish culture in me now as opposed to the last few years. Interesting enough, I had a friend, a very close friend of mine, who married with a Spanish woman, and so it exposed me to that lifestyle. And more I connect and relate with their, you know, with those norms, such as the warmth and the people and the festive attitudes and mentality. And so for me now, when I say I want to maintain my culture and make it into an issue and keep it and make sure someone synchronizes and similar, it's a pointless, it's not true, because it wouldn't be true to what I've been exposed to the last one. And
but one thing, like you said, Spanish culture, because there's warmth, there's like friendliness and all that. Don't you think it's because that culture, there's some sort of commonality with your culture? I feel like what you just said is still the cultural thing.
I think there's commonalities amongst every
culture.
The word commonalities, finding commonalities, every culture, we're, again, back to we're all humans, we're all, you know, God's children, or for those who believe or not believe, but we all have some similarities and comparisons. And I don't think, we may have the commonality with Spanish culture that we're warm and we have festive behaviors, but with maybe Russian attitudes, we have our own common. It was so long as we search for those. So do we disqualify them because they're culturals, they might not sync up directly? I don't think so.
So I think the big thing is finding a similar commonality between two people, not necessarily culture,
I
just
feel like
personality.
we would not be doing justice to the conversation if we deny the fact that differences exist. So for instance, I probably would ask the question to you, Adam, and to everybody else that would you, for instance, go out or consider seriously somebody who is very, very differently educated than you? So for instance, if you have a graduate degree, would you consider somebody who doesn't have a high school diploma? Would you consider somebody who comes from immense wealth? Let's hypothetically assume you're middle class, that they come from immense wealth, or somebody who comes from poverty and they still live in poverty. Would you, so the point and purpose of the question is we could think in ways of minimizing and acting as if differences didn't exist. But I want to actually highlight that they do, and whether or not these are some of the things you would consider. Would you consider any of those people as a long-term partner, potential spouse?
SANAZ, why don't you answer that?
I mean, the political general, the answer that would be most accepted is yes, I would accept everyone. But I mean, honestly, in reality, knowing myself, probably not. I find someone who I have more commonality with in the sense of both culture, education, everything. I mean,
KIANA,
it's just
I really want to get your point of view on this too. You talk in the perspective of an ideal situation, what it's supposed to be, but now let's talk about what, as SANAZ said, in reality. Would you be dating who's like somebody who has like a lower education than you, financial-wise, or anything like that?
Well, you know, I don't really believe in education system.
Okay.
So if someone have a lower education, I still respect that. And yeah, I date people for who they are, if they have a beautiful brain, and that's all I need. You know, it doesn't matter which class. And maybe that's another subject that we were talking about before. It makes them more interested. You want to get to know them better. You want to like learn something from their life. And it might not work for a long time, but I mean, it's worth the try.
How much does the financial situation of the guy, not necessarily the financial situation of the family, the parents, let's just say, oh, he comes from, he has a rich dad, is going to support, but the financial situation of the guy himself plays a role, as in like what sort of job does he have, how much he's making. Does that have an effect on you choosing your spouse?
Yes, because most of these wealthy guys, they're really selfish, most of them, and they're not humble. So
The
all
self-made wealthiness,
yes.
or the
So-
parents? The self-made, like the guy who worked for his money, or somebody who is just living off the money of the parents?
Money has nothing to do with a relationship. That's what I'm saying. If money makes that person, it could make them humble. Many wealthy people, they're rich and they're giving and they work in charity, and those are the people, you know, you can date, and they will never make you feel like you're below them, or you know. But in general, I like the guys that are, even though they're wealthy, they're humble.
So,
yeah, that's important.
okay, humble, but finance plays a role.
It does.
What if the guy was humble and wasn't making as much money, he couldn't really support himself, you had to help him out? That would
Well,
work.
I like to help him out. You know, we live in America. There should not be no difference between man and woman. You know, we work. That's what I'm saying. You have to find one person that you're working towards one goal in your life.
Okay.
And money comes and goes. I mean, it's not. I don't know how to put it in a word, but
Adam, your perspective. I mean, I'm a guy. I'm married.
Yeah, does money matter?
For choosing my spouse, money doesn't matter, but for me, marriage is like working as a team. So if I'm providing, we're living in 21st century, so I like my wife to be working along with me to provide for the family. And what's your point of view? Like, do you want the only person who's bringing the bread to the table, or do you want your wife to be financially stable, like to be having a good job, or you don't mind having a housewife?
Well, despite me getting a whooping from my mama, as they say, my mom would say, no, she's got to be, you know, wealthy and at your level and all these things. And I'll be honest about that. But for me, it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. I mean, you get to a point, and the question of self-made and inheritance and like whether your parents support you or not, I think that does take a play, because you are grounded when you're self-made, you are humble when you're self-made, and I would only hope that over so many years that everything that I've sort of accomplished has been self-made in a sense. Like I've worked through school and work and so forth to become that point. So it's just become so much less of an issue for me that whether there was a financial constraint or not. I just want that person to be real with me, to be honest and loyal and so forth, and that is so much more than financial aspects of it.
So I want to go back to the idea of whether or not we minimize certain differences that actually exist. So in the dating history of all of the people who are here, has anybody dated somebody who has been really, really poor? Or has anybody dated, I'm talking, my guess is that, probably most of you folks have associated with people more or less within your socioeconomic class, maybe one standard deviation up or down. So there may not, in fact, be a real frame of reference in terms of what dating somebody who comes from immense wealth is like, or what it means to date somebody who comes from very deep poverty. And the question could be phrased in a different way, that have you dated somebody who is strikingly better looking than you? By a wide margin, much, much better looking than you? Or have you dated somebody who is by far less attractive than you? And my sense is that we need to not dismiss or not discard the fact that a lot of us, many of us, we stay within some margin of error of where we are in terms of wealth, in terms of education, in terms of physical attractiveness, cultural background. It would be an understatement to say, I'm blind to all of those things, and whoever comes in, I'll give them audience. Yeah. But I'm interested to hear your opinions, and whether you have in fact dated somebody who has been starkly different than yourself.
Adam?
Yeah, I dated Miss Miami, the most gorgeous woman in Miami. So I dated the most attractive, and I dated the most poor woman in the world that I could, I'd have to, to some degree, I felt, compelled. So it never stopped me, though. It never stopped me, and I think in the pursuit of love, I've tried it all, I've sacrificed it all, and I've given it my all. And it didn't make any difference. And I think that goes back to the core. I mean it. It's funny, no, but I mean it because. I think from my parenting, although my mom gives me a tough time, and I say that because she's so involved, and that's bad. That's gonna disqualify. A lot of women are gonna say, "Scratch, he's off the list," because the mama boy. But the truth is that the humble grounds of not caring, looking past that, having a real relationship with someone, connecting with them, really mattered to me. And I think that I've been able to look over those things and not let them affect, not the fact that, because she was much more beautiful than me. So, and there's the level of unease and uncomfort, right? That she's like, everywhere we go, everyone's staring at her and everyone's giving her the attention, and I'm just kind of the shadow. But being comfortable in your skin, being able to maintain that situation. And then another situation with a girl that maybe is so poor that you kind of had to, and we're talking very low, that you kind of have to explain to her and work through that these are maybe my customs and this is our differences, but she could kind of manage it. It's about being a good person. If you see that, you can kind of go through those situations.
I kind of agree with you. There has to be some sort of commonality. I sort of disagree. My wife. We have a lot of commonalities. Like I'm an engineer, she's also an engineer. Personality-wise, I think we're kind of to some extent the same. So I think you were right with that perspective. But for some reason, I always heard you have to find your other half. Like somebody who completes you, somebody what you're missing. So you're saying that most people are looking for a commonality. So how's that statement true? Like, I'm finding my other half. You're a plus, she's a minus, so it makes you a perfect couple. So So what you said, does that like make that other statement of finding my other half invalid?
No, this is actually, it makes a lot of sense. The way that I see it, at least through my experience and my practice, the early phases of a relationship are very often governed by similarity. That, once again, you hang out usually within the circles of people who are somewhat similar to you in terms of age and education and socioeconomic background and so many other dimensions. And then you may look for some degree of similarity in the beginning. The later stages of relationship, in other words, whether or not this something comes out of an initial phases, something in terms of it becoming a long-term relationship, a committed relationship, perhaps marriage, that is governed by what I hear from you, which is a person consciously or unconsciously looking for somebody else to complete them. And this is where we find couples, one of them is like a little reserved and a little shy, the other person is really friendly, really outgoing, and they attract each other because they feel like they complete and complement each other somehow. You have one person who is tidy and organized and timely, and you have another person who is less so, and they feel like they can probably learn something from one another. So in some ways I feel like both similarity and opposites attract, they both operate in the context of relationship, maybe a little bit at different times of the age of the relationship.
Can I ask, just because I want to, you stated about your wife, how you guys have a lot of similarities. You don't think that time brought that? You don't think that, not only you became like each other once you're in a relationship, that you see that personalities start to cross and you guys develop the same
Not
behavioral...
necessarily, because we are recently married, so it's not like we've been married for like 10 years now. Okay, now we became like the same person. So there was some sort of history background that made you this person who you are right now. So I don't really agree with that.
You don't think the time of dating brought you guys...
No, the time of
like
dating is
influencing
just
each
something we got to know each other. Like we didn't have enough time to influence each other that much.
So your interests have not changed since you've been married with her?
No. But unfortunately, we're running out of time. So otherwise, I know the topic came on me, but unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we have to wrap this up. Do you have any other conclusion to make before we finish this episode?
Yes, I mean, what's in the research literature is that there is a lot of things that attract people to one another. We didn't actually get to talk enough, in my opinion, about physical attractiveness, how much of a factor that is in whether you select somebody or not. There is familiarity, there is similarity, there is how much access you have to that person. And that explains a lot in terms of you getting together with people who might be in your neighborhood or who might be at work. You do have access, and therefore that creates a certain amount of interest. And then there's personality. What kinds of things we typically look for in a person's personality in terms of whether or not we feel attracted to them. So there's a number of different things that come together, and sometimes in our minds we allow one of these things to compensate for the other. So for instance, maybe the person isn't entirely good looking, but they're educated, they're smart, they're committed, and that you allow for that to actually make up for some other things. Our minds has this amazing capability of running all of these variables side by side and parallel to each other, and then you allow the other person to sort of compensate for one thing in another domain. So that is something that certainly happens.
Okay, thank you so much for your input, Dr. FARDIS. Thank you, SANAZ, Adam, and KIANA for coming and giving us your input. That's all we have for today. Thank you for being with us. True love isn't found, it's below.